Hello, my name is Zachariah with Old Man Gaming. Welcome to another Snap Judgment review. I'm on fire with the reviews lately. Sorry, notifications already going off. But what is a Snap Judgment review if you've never listened before? Well, I think game reviewers nowadays get a little caught up in 100%ing or near completing a game before they review it. They forget what it's like to play it right in the beginning. So I do 5 to 10 hours with a game. I'm just trying to give you an idea whether you're going to enjoy it right away or not. That, coupled with the fact that I think games are one of the most subjective forms of art, I'm not going to give you a score. I'm going to tell you the overview of what the game is. Then I'm going to tell you the pros and the cons of the game that I've noticed. And then I'm going to tell you whether or not I'm going to be sticking with the game outside the purposes of this review. So what am I reviewing today? As promised, I'm reviewing Palia, the cozy little life sim fantasy type game that's really interested and kind of captured me a little bit. So what is Palia? Palia is, first of all, it's a free to play, which I was not expecting. It is a completely free to play game. Well, not completely free to play, we'll talk about that in a second, but free to play game in which it almost is like an adult Animal Crossing is the best way to define it. Your character just pops out of thin air in some ruins. You get to create your character from scratch, and then you are greeted by this scientist woman and her kind of like golem automaton partner, and they explain that humans vanished from the world many, many centuries ago, but now they've started popping back in, and no one knows why. You don't remember who you are, but hey, let's give you a plot of land and set you to tasks of farming. So that's what you do in this game. You are given a plot of land, which is kind of its own separate loading screen, and then a little house to fix as part of the tutorial, and then there's trees on that house. You get a bunch of land with your plot that you can slowly buy out to build onto. You get to, add additions to it. In addition to that, you can also farm, hunt, fish, catch bugs, run the whole gambit of the Animal Crossing spectrum, while also adding in some other kind of like almost survivalist tropes, which I found very interesting. Like, eating in this is not just purely for show. Eating in this actually gives you what's called focus points. The focus points allow you to do stuff better. They give you little bonuses as you say farm or cut down trees. So you want to keep your focus points high. It doesn't stop you from not playing, but it's a bar that goes down as you do stuff, which I thought was a really cool, interesting idea on how to do things. Other than that, there is a handful of NPC characters, which an even less amount of them you can actually romance if you get your levels up high enough with them. I got nowhere close to that level yet, and you get your levels up with them kind of in the same way you do as other games like this, giving them gifts. There's a bulletin board of stuff that they need, and the amount of gratitude they will give you depending on the gift they give, which I enjoyed this part with Sandrock, which is a very heavily easily compared to this. With Sandrock, it is a lot harder to tell what the villagers want and what they're happy with, whereas with this, there's a bulletin board. Oh, she's going to be kind of happy with this, but she's going to be super happy if I find her one of these. Like that kind of stuff, which is not bad. You also get a glider, and you're able to climb most things. They definitely want you to think that it's Breath of the Wild, but we'll talk about the climbing a little bit in the cons. And yeah, I mean, that's really this game. It's hard to kind of define this thing or go long-winded about it, because it is exactly what you would expect it to be. There are a lot of different vistas, a lot of different areas. Everybody's got a ton of missions for you. There's different shops you can go to, and a lot of stuff you can do, like talk to the mayor and just like the other games, the in-game NPCs have like a schedule that they run on, and that schedule is where they are at any given time. So sometimes they'll be asleep. You can't talk to them. There's also an aspect where it is completely online. So like, you will get onto a server and there's other characters running around, kind of MMO style, which is what differs this a little bit from other games of this ilk. In addition to this, you can create a community or join a community, but beware, you can only create or join one community. So keep that in mind when you decide to do this. But you create a community, and then you can invite people to that community, and they will always sync to your server when they're playing. So I thought this was kind of cool. It's kind of like a less a less cumbersome version of what Sandrock does, which Sandrock has just a private server for every player. And who you invite is who will get into there whenever they go in online, period. But that also is a little bit restrictive, meaning you can only have like one server you're on online, or you have to go on to a completely different server, or a completely different server bank in order to create another kind of like private server for yourself. With this, it just links your characters up. So whenever you log in, everybody logs in together. And the houses, unlike Sandrock, where the houses are built right there in the village, the houses are kind of their own loading screen. So like if you move from the village to the house, it loads your house in. So if you're going to it with other characters, they'll load that house in, but it won't mess with their house. So you can't overbuild on somebody else's property. You can't kind of like mesh them together. Your plot is your plot, and everybody's plot apparently is in a box gulch, and that's just the way it is. You're probably wondering, how do they make money? Well, it appears that all the cosmetics seem to be the money. That's where you get the money, the monetary transactions. There is an entire store in the center of the city. That's the clothing store, but everything that I have seen in there is only viable with premium currency, which we are going to talk a little bit in the cons, and we're actually going to talk about it a little bit in the pros too. That being said, yeah, you run around, you do actions, you build your character up, and you get to know the characters in it. It is definitely kind of exists as like a whimsical fantasy world that you can just live in. And I'm not going to lie, it's nice nowadays. Much like COVID, it's nice to have that. And I think that's where this game thrives. So, let's go into the pros and the cons. Let's get into it. The pros, the variety of actions in this I found extremely cool, like fishing, catching bugs, hunting, building stuff, the planting. I really enjoyed the planting animations, which we'll get into a little bit later. And it's all stuff that you would expect. You know, you plant some seeds, you water them. Every so often they grow, you harvest them, you have a box where you sell them. Like, it's very, any game that you've played like this, you played one, you played 100. Like, very Stardew Valley sort of thing. But I enjoyed it with the 3D stuff, and I also enjoyed the variety of it. I felt like there was just anything I could do in this, with the exception of maybe get in fights. I also liked the addition of hunting. And I know that like Stardew has actual like combat in it, which is very cool, and this doesn't really. The hunting is very simple. You craft arrows, you use a bow, you shoot the animals a couple of times, and then they poof into a bag, which is very interesting. I was wondering how they were going to do that in a everyone game, how they were going to kill animals, but yeah, they just poof, and now it's bag of stuff. So yeah, so I really enjoyed the variety of actions and how they do it. I really thought the fishing minigame was a lot of fun, and it's one of the better fishing minigames out there in my opinion. And yeah, I just enjoyed it. My next one, I do want to go into the farming. I really enjoyed and this is very, very just me. The way that you farm in this, you actually take out a hoe, and you have to like till the soil after you build like a soil spot. And when you till the soil, you literally have to kind of like scrape off the farming part. I don't know why, this was just super satisfying. And this might be just the weird OCD part of my brain that loves lawn mowing simulator. Like, it's just that like, oh yeah, just sweeping off the exact spots to plant these seeds was just so satisfying. I loved doing it. And I like that they made that so satisfying. I don't know, I feel like they almost weaponized my obsessive compulsive disorder against me. And then finally, no overbearing microtransactions. Okay, so usually in free-to-play games, I mean, not usually, but a good amount of time, you get these constant, like if you're playing it free, you get constant ads shoved down your throat. Like, buy this, buy the battle pass, get this. Every time you level up your battle pass on the free scale, it's like, hey, you want to buy the premium? You could be getting this. Like, it's constant, especially in the game that I recently played, Where the Winds Meet, where it was just constant notifications. There's none of that here, which I really I really enjoyed. There's obviously a premium store, and we're going to talk about the whole only cosmetics in the cons as well. But if you stay out of that store and you stay out of that button, you're never going to have it like kind of like thrust upon you, which, I mean, occasionally I accidentally press the button that takes me to the microtransaction store. But other than that, I never felt like they were like, you got to buy this now. You got to buy this now. They weren't, it wasn't like I was playing a game with a salesman standing next to me, constantly repeating to me how good it would be if I spent money on it. And I really enjoy that part of it. Like, I understand that you need to make money off a game. Period. You need to make money. You need to pay the people who worked on it. And a free-to-play game has to have microtransactions. To do that, I don't have a problem with that. But when they are just constantly bearing down, like me make the decision to spend the money on the stuff that you have made cost money in the game, don't throw it down my throat. I'm either going to buy it or I'm not. And it's just going to make me not want to play it if you're constantly attacking me with it. So let's get into the cons. Excuse me, everybody. So the first con, the biggest con, it is a mechanical con. It is climbing. Okay, so this game very much wants you to be like, it's Breath of the Wild also. You build a glider pretty early on, which is actually pretty cool. I like the glider aspect of it, which allows you to kind of like sail down from areas. And you're also supposed to be able to climb anything, but you can't climb anything. And that's my biggest problem with this game. The most rock faces you can climb, but then all of a sudden there'll be walls that you can't climb. And there's nothing in the like scenery that explains why this wall can be climbed and this wall can't. In fact, what gets even more effed up is the can't climb walls sometimes have vines on them that allow you to climb them. And again, very hard to tell. And I don't like that. I like either use the vines or use the climb anything mechanic. Don't make a weird marination of both. In addition to this, the climbing is incredibly glitchy. Look, I think this game is good. I think it's pretty well made. I think it's got really pretty vistas, and it's a really cool concept. That being said, you can very much tell that the climbing was, hey, Zelda does climbing, let's throw climbing in, because it's glitchy, it's wonky when you climb. Like, sometimes you'll climb up to the top, and then you'll literally go fully flat before your character gets up. Like, it's just very, very glitchy and wonky. The rules of it are not very easily determined or defined, which I don't love. Yeah, I think the climbing needs work. And it is the most frustrating part about this game, personally, in the mechanics. Like, every time I find myself trying to climb something, I'm just muttering to myself. Rest of the game is really fun and smooth. That aspect is just drives me nuts. And then finally, my other con is the only customizational Look, again, this is tough because you're a free-to-play game. You have to make money. They are not throwing ads down my throat. So overall, I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. But I also like a couple of cosmetic options that I could earn in game, even if the price is really high or hard to do. The fact that I am stuck in tutorial clothes the entire time in this third-person game is a little bit of a bummer. But again, hey, they're putting a restriction on something. They're saying, look, everything else is free. We just need you to pay here. I don't think that's necessarily wrong. It's just going to be a little frustrating that there's nothing in there that I can't like mess with. So that's it. And whether or not I'm going to stick with it, I think I'm actually going to stick with this one. I don't know how much I'll play it. I have a lot of games on my plate right now. But it is a lot of fun. My daughter also found some enjoyment with it, and any game I can play with my daughter is a win. So I think yeah, I'll definitely pull this out and do some farming every so often. I think it's cool. What do you guys think? Did I get it right? Did I get it wrong? You can tell me in the comments below. You can also contact us on all the places. You can contact us on Discord. The link's in the description below. Influence us in all of our shows from there.